takeaway last night, at least for me and for, I think, maybe for the Eagles front office, was pretty vindicating. You know, there's that element. You ever worked with that person where it's like when they're in the room, they just suck the air out, and it's everyone's walking on eggshells, and you and your coworkers are kind of, there's like an eye contact, like don't say anything to piss them off, you know, kind of that sort of thing. And then when they leave, it's all good and fun again. Everyone can, deep breath and go about their business. That was the Eagles offense yesterday without A.J. Brown. And I've said this for about a month. They do not need him to be a Super Bowl contender. They don't. You say, well, it's the Giants, A, divisional game, B, a team that we saw last week should have beaten the Denver Broncos in Denver, a team that never loses at home, and beat Philadelphia the week before that by 17 on a short week when Philadelphia was coming off of a loss. And also, again, divisional games, they're tight. And the Giants have a good offense, at least prior to the devastating Cam Scatterbo injury. Is that when there's no A.J. Brown, now there's like a clarity within the franchise. Okay, it's a heavy dose of Saquon Barkley. Get him involved. Offensive line, you know your job. We're going to get the ball to Devontae Smith. We're going to get the ball to Dallas Goedert, Dotson. We're going to spread the ball around. Jalen Hurts is going to say, you know what? I'm throwing to the open man. I'm not just going to force feed number 11 the football because he's out here posting cryptic Instagram posts. They're using me, but they're not actually using me. Bruh, you had 100 yards last week. Of course they used you. It's not enough. A.J. Brown told us after the Super Bowl, days after the Super Bowl, he finds his greatest satisfaction in the game of football by dominating another defensive back more than winning a championship. Honestly, if that was a private one-on-one conversation, if me and J.J. Brown were talking, wouldn't have a problem with that. Don't broadcast that to the public when you play a team sport. That's not where it's at. And by the way, even when he does dominate DBs, which he did last week against Minnesota, it's not enough. And Saquon Barkley, we can show you, went off in this game. Saquon Barkley, 14 carries, $150 rushing yards, a touchdown, rushing and a receiving touchdown, had 10 yards a carry. He had a 65-yard scamper on the second play from scrimmage, and he had two 20-plus yard runs. That's notable because he hadn't had a single one. I talked about that last week. Had not had a single 20-yard run prior to this game against the Giants. Feels like last year he did that every other game. Against the Rams, he did it multiple times a game. The Rams have nightmares from facing Saquon Barkley. And Jalen Hurts as well. Again, with all the drama in Philly, when the anonymous quote, remember the anonymous quote from a couple of weeks ago? An anonymous Eagles player was saying, man, this reminds me of the end of 2023, right? Where we collapsed. We lost 6 of our last 7 games. We lost the playoffs to Tampa. It's starting to remind me of that inner turmoil. A.J. Brown's complaining for the ball. Saquon's not running it. Jalen Hurts has done this season. He has a 20-2 total touchdown to turnover ratio. 70% completion, 235 total yards per game, passer rating of 114, and a QBR of 67 on the season does Jalen Hurts have. A.J. Brown, and I'm going to give Patrick Brown credit for this. Shout out to Patrick Brown, my good friend here at the Grid Network. He made this point. I think it's a smart one. A.J. Brown is to the Philadelphia Eagles what Kevin Durant is to the Golden State Warriors. Now, the only difference is the Warriors won before KD got there. That wasn't the case in Philly. They don't need him in order to be an elite offense. The Giants have one of the best defensive lines in football. Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Thibodeau and Dexter Long. They have some dogs up front to the New York Giants. Well, how do you minimize, or how do you neutralize, rather, a great pass rush? By running the football. Not just with Saquon Barkley, but with Tank Bigsby, who I said, when he was traded, I said at the time, I cannot believe the Jags moved on from this guy. Philadelphia's like, thank you very much. We'll swoop in, take him. We've still got A.J. Dillon as well. So we've got a deep bench in our running back room. Our offensive line is dominating the line of scrimmage. Jalen's being efficient with the football. Jalen's being accurate with the football. And Saquon Barkley talked about after the game the success the Philadelphia Eagles had running the football yesterday.
Yeah, felt great. O-line did a great job there. Did a great job getting me to the second level, and I was able to use my speed on that one. But it's important to start the game off fast, and doesn't get really any faster than that besides the play before. So I feel like that was a key to how successful we were this game, and something we could build on.
There's a certain clarity that came with that Philadelphia Eagles offense. And again, I'm not here to say that Kevin Patullo is this genius now. I still don't think he's a very good OC, just like I didn't think Kellen Moore was a good OC last year. But now there's okay, now we can do what we want to do on offense. We're going to give the ball to Saquon. Jalen's going to work on a play action. We're going to throw some deep balls to Devontae Smith. We're going to get it to Dotson. We're going to get it to Dallas Goedert, who's our red zone extraordinaire. Great tight end. And we're going to play Philadelphia Eagles football the way that we feel it ought to be played. It's not that A.J. Brown does not make this offense better. He does, no question about it. But when there's the internal pressure from Jalen, and not just or towards Jalen, I guess, too. Better get me the football. I'm going to be mad. Even if you do give me the football, I'm going to say something else on social media. Not only that, but it's clear and obvious at this point. Brandon Graham, now back with the Eagles, let the cat out of the bag last year. Yeah, Jalen and AJ aren't that close. Jalen and AJ used to be friends, not that tight anymore. Knowing Howie Roseman and the deal maker that he is, arguably the best GM in all of football, he's calling around the league. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, they're calling to see what they can get for A.J. Brown. Because somebody will take him, and they should. He's a great player. He's one of the 5 best receivers in the sport. But if you had to rank the Eagles' offensive players, just offensive players, in terms of importance, I'd put Jalen number 1 because the fact of the matter is I've seen Jalen not have a good line and no running game with Saquon all season long. He's been spectacular. Jalen number 1, Saquon number 2, the 2 tackles at 3 and 4 with Mailata and Lane Johnson. And it's a toss-up between Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown. Dallas Goedert is their elite red zone guy, trustable on third down. He's reliable. Low maintenance. So is Devontae Smith. So is Saquon Barkley. Jalen Hurts is the ultimate low maintenance guy. It says a lot about a teammate when everything is going well. The pass game's working. It has been working pretty much all season long, aside from a few games here and there against Tampa Bay and against the Denver Broncos. Pass game's working all season long. We're back, 6-2. We're finally, Saquon's got it going, and we're going into a bye, so we feel great about that. I got 2 tough games, brutal games coming out of the bye against the Packers and the Lions. Cannot wait for both of those. Some of the top contenders in the NFC. Better give me the ball, Jalen. And I think last night, or yesterday afternoon, I should say, provided a level of clarity to that organization, like similar to Kevin Durant with the Warriors. Luxury makes us better objectively, not a necessity. We're still outstanding without him. Devontae Smith can be a number 1 receiver. Dotson can be a 2. Goddard is an excellent receiving target. By the way, it's not like can Jalen throw 25, 30 times a game? Sure he can. We saw it against the Rams. But we'd also like to get Saquon Barkley involved. We'd also love to give the ball to the reigning offensive player of the year who had 2,000 rushing yards last year. Get him involved. Establish the line of scrimmage. Neutralize a great pass rush like the New York Giants have. That was impressive by Philadelphia. And given that the trade deadline's next week, I think it is absolutely on the board that A.J. Brown has played his final game as an Eagle. I've said this for a month. They don't need him to be successful. They don't. It's a run-first offense. Jalen spreads the ball around. Offensive line dominates the line of scrimmage. You've still got Devontae Smith and Dotson and Goddard. They're fine. The main question for Philadelphia I have is Kevin Patullo. But hey, Jalen's won a Super Bowl with a less than ideal OC. He did it last year with Kellen Moore. So this idea that he is just indispensable is A.J. Brown to this offense is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. He's not having that good of a year compared to previous years, statistically speaking. And they're 6-2. And they're playing great football. Even after his best games, still calling for the football. Still trying to, they're using me, but they're not using me. What the heck's that supposed to mean? They did use you. And you're still not happy? That's the only thing that could break up what the Philadelphia Eagles got going is internal drama. Get out of the building, gone. It's over. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.